Hi, my name is Effie Parks. I'm the host of the podcast Once Upon a Gene. Thank you for tuning in today. My episode is episode 129 with the two disabled dudes. I hope you enjoy the show.
Welcome to the Two Disabled Dudes podcast. We believe life is about how we react. Hey, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in today. My name is Sean, and we've got all kinds of fun stuff to talk about. First up, a reminder. It is 2021, and you need a calendar.
2021, yeah, we got to start planning ahead, right?
Well, Kyle, you're a little behind if you haven't started yet. But we do have, introducing this year, some new desktop calendars, Two Disabled Dudes theme, featuring all kinds of other rare disease friends in the community. So be sure to check that out on our website. Also, a thank you to those who noticed and heard last week. We launched that donate button. Thank you for helping us stay alive over here.
Yeah, appreciate that. So, Sean, before we get to our top 5, I want to share a quick story. I don't know how much you have used Grubhub or DoorDash or, all the food delivery stuff in the last 6 months or whatever.
Well, I have a garden, and I only eat what my garden produces, so
I bet that's true, yeah. I cannot imagine that.
No.
Anyway, I use those services a lot. So last night I used Grubhub because I was like, I'm going to be lazy. And I try to order a little bit earlier in the night because I've had a few problems in the past. And, if something goes wrong, I need to be able to, order again, right? So anyway.
Like, when you say problems, like digestive problems if you eat too late or, delivery issues, food issues.
Delivery issues.
Okay. All right.
So you also know that I just moved.
Yeah.
So I haven't used Grubhub in a while because I've been using DoorDash, whatever. And so I don't know why, but last night I decided to use Grubhub, and I asked for the delivery guy calls and he goes, hey, I just dropped off your stuff. It's right outside your door. And I look out there and I was like, it's not there. And he's like, 319, right? I'm like, no, 317. And he's like, oh, it's at 319. So I go over there, nothing there either. So I look back at the app and I'm like, oh, I had it delivered to my old address.
Yeah, it's across town or whatever.
Right.
Oops.
So at first, I was like, maybe I should just drive over there, but it would have been like an hour, round trip and getting in the car, whatever, all that stuff. So I'm like,
sure,
no way. So I was thinking, ordered again. So there's just some Chinese food on somebody's porch. Like, I don't even know who
somebody
it is.
They got free food, and you paid twice
because I'm lazy. What I don't understand and what frustrated me is cell phones are so good at telling where we are, right? I was 20 miles away from where it delivered my food. Why couldn't it just automatically detect where I am?
And kind of give you a warning?
Yeah.
Like Uber does that, at least for the car service. They'll be like, are you sure? Because it shows.
Yeah.
You're not there.
I mean, maybe, okay. I don't think it did. Maybe it did, but yeah.
Maybe it did, and you were just so excited about your Chinese food, you just rushed through the buttons. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, but
anyway, sorry to hear that, Kyle. Especially since you're the kind of person that, needs your food and needs it kind of early.
Yeah.
And likes to, not spend a lot of money. So now that you had to waste $12 or $15,
yeah,
I'm sure that doesn't make you
Yeah,
happy.
so I'm going to go to the grocery store right after we record so I can, like, try to, make up the cash that I lost last night by eating store food.
Okay, a little healthier maybe. Or I thought you were going to say make up the cash by
Like,
buying a lottery
or
ticket. But
just stealing all the food.
I mean, that's true too. Yeah, you can stuff it in your wheelchair. Are they really going to approach a disabled dude and be like, hey, you're stealing?
Yeah.
Like, how awkward. Okay. Anyway, we digress. Today, we have decided to list off our top 5 favorite foods, or top 5, it's in the food category, but top 5 must-have pairs. So 2 things you eat together and you can't do without. So, Kyle, do you want to kick us off? Or?
Yeah, sure. And my first one, it's kind of obvious. I thought of pasta and sauce. Like, you're not really going to eat either of those things, right, without the other.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Although, yeah, I guess that's true. So when you say, like, is that a pair that you gotta have, or you thinking just in general, nobody's...
I think just in general, like, okay, fine. I put pasta sauce, like, on some other stuff without pasta, but really, you're not going to eat pasta without at least something on it.
So. All right. I want to argue with that.
My next one is chocolate-covered pretzels. I think that's 2 things, right? Chocolate and pretzels, and those 2 go together so well. Oh, my gosh.
So, do you eat plain pretzels?
I'd eat a chip faster than I would eat a pretzel without chocolate on it.
Okay, cool.
All right, and then coffee and cream. I like a lot of cream in my coffee, and I know you do too.
Yeah. So, just for the record, that one is on my list as well.
Nice.
But I would be honest, for me, it's at home, right? I don't, like, if I'm out and about, I drink my coffee differently, sometimes with sugar, sometimes black. It really just depends on what I'm doing and where we're at. But when I'm at home, like, if I'm going to brew coffee, I won't brew my coffee if I don't have my creamer.
Right.
Like, if I'm out of creamer, I'm just not having coffee.
Yeah. If I'm out, I'll drink it black, but I really do like it a lot more if there's cream in it. So, in my next one, to go along with that is bacon and eggs. And bacon sure is really good on its own. Eggs, whatever, they're fine on their own, but when they're together, it's pretty amazing.
Totally. Hey, are you a syrup on your eggs kind of guy?
No, not really.
Okay, me neither. But, if I go out to eat and I get something with pancakes and eggs, I make sure the syrup does not pour over into the eggs or run over into my eggs. I can't handle that.
Yeah, I'll certainly eat them if it does, but I don't, intentionally put it on my eggs. Yeah.
Sure. All right.
My last one, obviously one of these items is not a food or a drink, but beer and friends. Like, I don't enjoy a beer if I'm by myself, if I'm not with friends,
Or you don't enjoy your friends if you aren't drinking or inebriated.
Yeah, I didn't think of it the other way, but all right.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, it's kind of more, it's a lot more interesting, I guess, or maybe more relaxing and fun. I agree with you in terms of having a beer, hanging out with friends. I'm more likely to crack open a beer if I'm hanging out with people than I am just sitting at home.
Yeah, I do sometimes, and I'm like, why did I do this?
Yeah, sure. I'll be honest with you, beer, not my thing by myself, but I will certainly pour myself a glass of wine and stare at the wall all by myself. I don't mind.
Nice. All right.
Was that 5?
Yeah, that was 5. You're up.
Okay. All right, so I think my approach may have been a little bit different. I did pairs that I got to have together.
Okay.
So it wasn't, these are my must-haves. So number one, easily, hands down, chips and salsa.
Really?
I won't eat chips if I don't have salsa. And of course, who needs salsa if you don't have chips? Like, to me, I've got to have both.
Wow.
Or maybe some sort of dip, right? Chips and maybe some queso is
What
cool.
about potato
But,
chips?
yeah. Oh, I guess, yeah, it's a good point. If they're flavored like a Frito or, I don't know, something like a Doritos, Cool Ranch or whatever, yeah, I'll get those plain. But like at home, I'm a plain tortilla chips and salsa kind of guy. Like I always have those two in my kitchen.
All right, got it.
Okay, this one, people are going to think I'm weird or somebody's going to celebrate because they're with me. I every now and then I like a good old-fashioned college-era bowl of top ramen, right? Ramen noodles. I don't eat them a ton, but every now and then that's just what I crave. I want some cheap 45-cent ramen noodles. I gotta have milk with my bowl of ramen.
What?
I'm not kidding. I like milk with my ramen noodles.
Just like a glass of milk.
I can't drink milk all by itself, but I like it with my mac and cheese as well.
Yeah, I'm in the camp where I'm like, all right, that's strange.
Weird. Fair. And then, you know me, I'm a soda guy. I like soda with my food, especially like a burger and fries or something kind of savory. I would rather not eat pizza if there isn't a Pepsi with it or Coke. Either way is fine. But I love pizza and soda.
Yeah.
That combination. A lot of people gotta have beer with their pizza. Not me. It's pizza and soda.
Yeah, I could see that. I don't necessarily do that, but I can totally see how it's better with a little soda.
And then, of course, I already mentioned coffee and cream, or we had talked about that. My final one, I love ice cream, so I can do ice cream all by itself, but I can't do apple pie without vanilla ice cream. I just won't. So at holidays or when apple pie might be available, I make sure I got ice cream, vanilla ice cream to go with it.
I can see that. Yeah, it's always so much better. But yeah, that's all right. Yeah. I'll take it. Nice.
Not only better, I'm telling you, I won't eat apple pie without some vanilla ice cream.
I'm gonna have to remember that. You know what? I'm gonna do it next time I see you. I'm gonna bring a friggin' apple pie and no ice cream,
and see what happens. All right. Well, there it is. Top 5 food pairs, or must-have food pairs, whatever you want to call it. Kyle, what we wanted to talk about today. Last week we talked about and shared some things that we want out of life, right? That we spent time digging through that. The other day, I was coming into the house and I was just thinking about stuff to talk about or stuff for the week, and it dawned on me that sometimes what's more powerful or what helps make it easier to identify what you want is knowing exactly what you don't want, right? So I thought about this idea of what do I want to avoid or what do I want to make sure isn't true for me or isn't a part of my story. So then I thought, well, I wonder what Kyle is thinking. Talking about last week, it's, okay, I want a house in Denver. Sure, I won't be bummed if it's not a big house, or maybe it's in a different city, but I still want to own a house. So maybe then I started to think, okay, I want to make sure I don't rent my entire life. So maybe that's on the don't do this list. So The idea today is to talk about things maybe we definitely either don't want or we want to be sure to avoid or anything in that vein.
Yeah, I think there's only so much time in the day or in our lives. That's the limiting factor, and we can't do everything. So it's important, especially when it really is hard to hone in, or when we're in the process of honing in on what we do want. It's really important to think about the things that we certainly don't want, because those things aren't the same for everyone. We can't just carbon copy somebody's wants and dislikes, and so we really have to internalize and figure those things out, and I think that's really important. Yeah.
Sure. But I think what is going to be a little more challenging about the conversation, in 133, episode 133, we told each other what we thought, but I really think we're going to have to dig deep ourselves and be honest with, and to me, it's, we can come up with 3 or 5 or 1. I don't know that there's a target number. But I'm gonna open it up with one thing I want to be sure to avoid myself, and we'll just kind of dig in. I've been over the last couple of years, or year and a half or so, just focused on moving towards being debt free.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I understand unless you're making a lot of money, you're probably going to have a mortgage and maybe a car payment. But in terms of credit card debt or, stupid debt, if you will, quote unquote, that kind of stuff, I think we can, or I can work around pretty easily. So my commitment over the last year and a half or so has been really striving towards being debt free. And that's a rut I don't want to be in for the rest of my life. Of course, little things set you back every now and then, right? Like the broken femur or whatever has come up over the last couple of years. But I'm certainly moving closer and closer to getting rid of that stupid debt, quote unquote, and being a little more free with my finances. So that's a long-term goal of mine, to be debt-free and remain debt-free.
Yeah.
And having a little bit of financial freedom.
Yeah. You say there's little setbacks every once in a while. And then you say a broken femur. I wouldn't call that little, Sean. Like, that's a significant setback, I think.
Well,
hurdle.
Yeah, you're right. But I think in terms of, finances, right, thankfully I have insurance and I didn't have to foot the entire bill.
Yeah.
But I guess when you think about it, I missed out on work. That kind of impacted income for a little bit. Yeah. And, of course, that did come with a big, medical bill. So, sure, it's a fairly significant setback. Yeah. And then before that, the year before that, it was my car. It crashed on me. Or, I didn't crash it, but it finally gave up on me. So I had to go buy a new one.
Yeah. Getting debt-free is all about just, it's all little stuff, right? And just crossing your fingers that something like that doesn't happen, It's
for sure.
It's unfortunate that, we can do all we want, but there's just some things that are not in our control, right?
Yeah. So, in a sense, when I think, okay, I want to be debt-free, part of the reason why I'm talking about today is really to put myself in the hot seat, right? Some accountability. So when you or my friends or anybody on social sees that I'm just blowing money on stupid stuff, you can be like, how's that helping? Now, don't get me wrong, I'm still going to enjoy life, so I'll take a vacation here and there. But when I think about the ultimate goal of being debt-free, when I really am challenged, or when that really comes to support my decisions, is when I'm thinking about a new pair of shoes or a new shirt. It's like, okay, do I need it or do I want it? Sometimes I want it. Sometimes I need it for work or maybe, whatever. So I found myself thinking twice when it comes to things like that.
Yeah, no, it's so funny that you mentioned that, because we were in the car over, you were taking me to my parents' house when I was in California, and you looked out and you saw a person that had the same exact car as you, and their windows were tinted.
Yeah. Oh, that's
And you're
right.
like, oh, I gotta get tinted windows. And of course, you're not gonna just go out and do that. But I was like, that's hard when you're trying to save money.
Oh, totally. Did we talk about the money aspect?
No,
or was
no,
it
you just said that,
Oh,
and
okay.
I just kind of thought it in my head, yeah.
Yeah, and that's seriously, I'm still there, right? Like, I look at him and I'm like, man, that car looks so much better with tinted windows. But I've gone with that for 2 years now, and I'm in no hurry to fork
Right.
out, what is it, I don't know, $200 to $400 just to have a better looking
Right,
car.
right, exactly.
So,
Yeah.
all right, you're up.
All right. One of the things that I focus on is my health, right? And I think that is the most important thing in some aspects for anyone with a rare disease, especially with a progressive disease, always trying to stay ahead of the progression. And I really don't want to fall into a rut of being not active, because I think being active when your physical abilities are limited or affected is hard. And I think we both can agree that just because something's hard doesn't mean you don't do it. And so that's a rut that I actually don't have that much trouble personally getting out of that rut, but it's something that is always on my mind when I feel myself slipping into it. I'm like, all right, it's go time. Got to get out of this rut.
Yeah. One thing I think about when hearing you talk about it, when we're together and we go out to eat, I always envy that you like getting something healthy off the menu, right? Like, I feel like you generally order something semi-healthy. And I almost always, what's my go-to, Kyle?
A hamburger or pizza?
Yep, burger and fries, right? Or pizza, yes, absolutely. And even I think your dad made a joke once. He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, it's not a burger," because that's just what I eat when I go out. Granted, I don't do a lot of sugars. I'm not a big sweets guy, so I'm not. People look at me and they think I eat healthy, but I really cut the corners quite a bit, especially when I'm talking about eating out. So I do envy that part of you that tends to order healthy. But now that you mention this, I'm gonna ask you. We opened up the episode all about Grubhub and Uber Eats, and sure, they can deliver some healthier foods, but how does that come into play with that desire?
I'm telling you, maybe that's what triggered this thought, was that on Friday night, I did eat a burger and fries. And last night, I ate general chicken, Chinese food. And, that's all just sugar and fried chicken, right? And
A little bit of protein.
so I'm telling you, not maybe, I am certainly slipping into that rut, but I will not be there for long, And part of it is just being comfortable and realizing that there's things that are more important than being comfortable, right?
Another thing for me that when I think about being in a rut, I'm going to be honest, right now, I'm exercising less. Mm-hmm. Since I have moved, I have been way off my routine, even just at home. Of course, I'm sure a lot of people can relate. Maybe their gyms have been closed, or at least in California, it's hard to find a place to go work out. So I've been doing my own home stuff, and before I moved, I was pretty good, pretty solid, 3 to 4 days push-ups on a regular basis, 5 days a week, if not every night. And ever since I moved and got cozy here, I'm kind of lazy. I just lay down and literally watch TV or listen to something on a podcast. And I could easily work out while I'm doing that, but I haven't been.
Yeah.
I just stay sitting or laying.
The fact that we're talking about it, we are thinking about it, and it's front of mind right now. Hopefully it means that you're not going to stay in that mode of not working out that much, right?
Well, yes, I am with you, but, it takes a whole lot more than hope, right? There has to be some intentional, don't do that or get out of bed. In fact, you mentioned just one little thing about your alarm clock earlier. Yeah. So tell everybody about that piece of your life right now.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about routines in the morning because last year I got up at 6 every day, and my alarm would go off and I would immediately get out of bed. And lately, my alarm will go off and I'll lay in bed for half an hour pretty regularly. I don't like that about where the rut I'm in right now.
I'm not a morning person. If you've been around me on a camping trip or a hotel or a bike ride event where it's overnight, Sean is not a morning guy. I have never been one to jump out of bed as soon as the alarm goes off, but I also, tend to set my alarm and give me a couple of minutes to wake up. So it's never been something that I beat myself up over. Yeah. And I think that's an important aspect, right? Whether you eat a burger here and there or order out, when it's not like you can't or you have to beat yourself up. Right. It's just being conscious about where you want to be, right? And then taking the action to help make sure you get there, or what you want to avoid, and then taking action to not end up there. Yep. So when I think about getting up in the morning, I don't beat myself up, but I certainly don't. I don't mind if it takes me 5 or 10 minutes to get out of bed, but I'm also careful to not be late for work or an appointment or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So when you talk about laying in bed, what are you skipping? Are you skipping anything, or are you just setting your alarm earlier, or are you skipping your workout? Are you skipping your Starbucks stop? What do you...
You're really laying it to me, man, about this. Well, because you're right. I mean, I've skipped my morning workout several times lately because I was laying in bed and I just don't have enough time anymore, right? And I think that's more than laying in bed. It's about missing time. I shut my eyes for that half an hour, and that means that I can't work out anymore or whatever before I have to go to work, So that's certainly a big part of it.
To be completely fair and equal in a sense, I'm in the same boat. I just do it at night, right? I'm not, I get home and I could work out, but I lay down and watch TV or play on social media or whatever.
Right.
I don't mean to lay it into you. I think we're both kind of in the same rut right now. And what's embarrassing about it is it's January, right? This is the season where we're all supposed to be gung-ho about, strict routine and a strict diet and a strict exercise regimen.
Well, it's only up from here, Sean, so maybe that's a good place to be.
And one of the reasons I like talking about it here and recording it is that it's hopefully a reminder next week, next month, tomorrow, that when I do lay down, I can snap out of it a little bit quick and be like, nope, I gotta do some sit-ups or push-ups or, go eat a tomato or something semi-healthy.
Totally, because if you don't tell anyone about it, it's easy to just be like, oh, whatever, it doesn't matter, it's fine.
It's not a thing, right? If you're not open about it.
Yeah.
So, Kyle, for me, the whole point of the conversation is kind of right now we have two things to consider, right? If we think back to episode 133, where we want to go. With this episode is what we want to avoid, where we don't want to go. So keeping both of those in perspective or top of mind should be instrumental in helping us achieve and accomplish and live the life that we want to live. So that, when we're 70 or 80 or toward the end of life, we're not looking back saying, I wasted 5 years there, or I wasted energy there. So, Kyle, like normal, we'll wrap it up with some thinking notes.
Yeah.
So, who or what are you grateful for this week?
So, when I flew back from California, I had to get a ride from the airport, and I asked Jan Farmer, her son, Garrett, is home from school, and he offered to come pick me up. And he came into the baggage claim, got all my bags for me, put them in the car, got me in the seat, lifted my chair in the back, He is a really great guy. I had a nice conversation on the way home. When we got to my place, he got out, put my ramp out for me at my place. I can't do that by myself, and made sure I got in. And anyway, it was just really nice, and just one of those things that, he certainly acted like he didn't think twice about wanting to help.
Yeah.
And that, I just appreciate that.
Yeah. It's full service right there. And when I think of Garrett, I think of him in 2010, right? When we did Race Across America. And he's even in the film. And then when I was at Jen's house during my injury, seeing pictures of Garrett all grown up and off in college playing ball, I think football, right? He's grown up.
He's like,
so I love hearing
he's one of the largest people I can think of.
Yeah.
And he used to be
he's all beast.
Tiny, right? Like we've known him long enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. I love hearing that, especially when I compare that to like me picking you up at the airport. I'm like, dude, get your stuff and let's
hurry
go.
up.
On the curb, hurry up. I'm not parking. But then again, I'm not very helpful with luggage, and I can't carry your stuff anyway, so I guess I have an excuse, maybe. I'm going to say thank you to all of that adaptive equipment that makes life more functional for us. Your ramp, your chair, whatever it may be. I recently made the decision to purchase I don't even know how you say it, a rollator. Well, I'm not sure, but it's basically a walker with a couple wheels, so it's constant flow, a little bit easier to move. And what's been really helpful with that, I don't use it every day, but it has become significant when I have groceries to bring into the house, or maybe extra stuff from work, like I'm going from one office to another overnight, so I bring my computer and my bag. All that stuff is hard to carry. Well, with the rollator, whatever, I can pile it up and bring it into the house without making 18 trips and without jeopardizing another fall. So I've been pretty pleased with this purchase and glad that I took that step.
That's awesome. I'm so glad to hear that. And, carrying things, it makes me think of when I got my power chair. I think I probably mentioned that one of my favorite things to do became taking the garbage out, because all of a sudden I could hold it with one hand and power the chair with the other. And so I totally understand that.
So I guess a big thank you to companies and manufacturers and engineers and, people like Catrek, just people behind the effort to make life a little bit easier and a little bit safer for all walks of life, especially when you think about disability or jeopardized ability.
Yep.
So thank you to all of those folks, and companies.
All right, Sean, thanks so much for taking us through that whole conversation. It was really valuable to figure out what we don't want so we can avoid those things and go towards what we do actually want or hone down to what we want. And thank you to our listeners for keeping us company. Please remember to subscribe and share the show with your friends. Come back soon, and until then, keep living with urgency. Thank you for listening to the Two Disabled Dudes podcast. This show is possible with your support. Visit twodisableddudes.com to donate.
Connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast app.